Hello. I think I, I ate mushroom tacos, so I have mushrooms in my teeth. Sorry. How are you? Great day. Just doing a quick video. I'm talking about tips for preparing to move overseas to your new country. I am going to be traveling to a new country very soon, to a couple of new countries, and I'm trying to prepare myself. And I'm doing a little bit better. If you're new to me, my name is Halana Black. I'm a freelance writer. I've been traveling as a freelance writer for the last 5 years, and I've lived in 7 countries since I started. And one of the things that I've learned a lot in the process of being a freelance writer and trying to organize my life to be able to travel and work at the same time. It's fun, it's great to do, but it can also be a bit challenging. So I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned, and I'm still learning 5 years into the game of trying to balance life in a new country, whether I'm there long term or temporarily. So let's go ahead and get into it. Stuff you need to do before you actually leave for your new country. Stop buying stuff. Just stop buying stuff before you go. Now, if you know that you're going to be leaving like in a few months, even if you know you're not leaving until the next year or two, this still applies to you. Stop buying crap. I'm leaving in September. So that's what, about 3 months from the date of this particular video. And I still have to remind myself when I go out not to buy stuff. Now, I've learned to not buy big stuff just because, unless I'm going to be using it. Um, but I don't buy like big things. I don't buy a lot of clothes and shoes and things just because that's just not me. But I do tend to buy things like a bunch of spices. I love to buy things like essential oils. And to be honest, those things add up. Like if you're not going to use it immediately, just leave it in the store. If you know that you're going to, now this is if you're leaving in a few months. Like if you're leaving like in a year or two, just stop buying stuff and put some of that money towards whatever your big goal of being able to travel somewhere. One of the things that I remember now that I'm leaving Rwanda to go to a new country. When I left Vietnam, that was my last country that I was in before I came to Vietnam. I waited until the weekend of. I waited until the weekend of to actually start packing. Like I didn't go through a thing. I don't know. That was also a different time. So I think I was sad to be leaving Vietnam because this was also during the whole pandemonium thing. And Vietnam was sort of making it trouble, like they were making it sort of difficult for foreigners to be able to stay. And I was ready to go to Rwanda, but I really didn't know what I was going to meet when you show up, when you come to Africa. Let me just be honest. You don't know what the hell you're going to be met with. And I didn't know anybody here at the same time. Now, I've gone to other countries where I didn't know anybody, but I had a little bit more trust that I would be able to figure some stuff out. It's not that easy when you come to Africa and don't know anybody. So, um, so yeah, I waited until the absolute last minute to do my packing, which was the silliest thing in the world. And so I just had so much stuff that I had accumulated. Now, that particular trip to Vietnam, I had been there about 9 months. I can't believe the amount of garbage that I had accumulated. Stuff that was just, I had just thrown into the closets, just knickknacks that I had in the refrigerator and all of my spice stuff because I like to cook a lot. And I really thought that I was going to have room for all of these different spices to go into my bags. Excuse me. But what happened is the weight of those spices and the packagings that they come in, that stuff that weighs a lot. Like I had beans, I had beans and stuff that I was trying to pack up. It was a mess. And so I realized that a lot of that stuff it just didn't fit into the bag along with my clothes. And then I had picked up a painting habit, and so I had like notebooks of painting paper and all this other stuff. And so you got to figure out what's important. What do you want to take? What do you love, and what needs to stay? I had gone out and bought a set of essential oils that were about this big, but I bought like 20 of them of different scents. Those things, when you put a bunch of them together, they're very heavy when you put them into your bag. And of course, when you're flying, you're limited in the amount of things that you can carry, things that are heavy that you can take, because you only allowed a certain weight limit. And so, of course, I took all of my essential oils because I love those. I took some of my spices, thinking that I can come to Rwanda and buy some more. I was sadly mistaken. Um, so I left them behind. I did bring all of my art stuff because that was important to me. You just need to be able to figure out what's important to you and what needs to be able to stay. So think about the stuff. Stop buying stuff in general is what I'm saying. Stop buying things and really just start to get rid of things slowly and easily. That way you don't have to go through the heartbreak of seeing all your stuff sitting on the roadside by the garbage can, because you can't take everything. So if you do it 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance, hell, 2 years in advance, if you know that you're not going immediately, um, it'll seem softer when you have to let things go. Next thing I would say is to declutter, which sort of goes with number one. You need to be able to declutter your house. The earlier you do it, the better off you will be. I don't have anything in the States, at least not anything that I really care of. I think I may have like a small bin of something over at my dad's house, but really, if he put that thing out on the side of the road, I don't even know what's in it. I don't really care about it. Everything that I own, it fits in a bag, and then I understand in my head that if it doesn't fit in my bag and it doesn't fit the weight restrictions when I'm trying to get up on the plane, then I'm gonna have to let it go. And so that's sort of what I'm doing at this moment before I leave for my next country. Um, my next thing, if you can afford it, I would tell it's especially if you're going on one of these cross planet trips like I'm going to be doing. If you're doing a trip that's like 12 plus hours, I would strongly suggest that you pay for business class tickets. I know it's a little extra expensive, but the last time I took a trip, about a year ago, I took a trip to my dad's house in the States, and I took economy. There just comes a point in life where you're just too old to be bothered um, with the foolishness that goes on in the economy. And I took a really great airline. I took a really great airline. The staff was great, but sitting in economy with everybody else for God, I don't even remember how it was at least 15 hours in one direction. And then like the layover at the airport at the time was like literally another it was like 15 plus hours layover. So I was aggravated because this was a year ago, so this was during the pandemonium time. And because yeah, I'm not vaccinated and they wouldn't let me out of the airport, and I was in Qatar. They wouldn't let me out of the airport so that I can, find a decent place to rest. And I wound up, resting in one of those little tiny rooms with a bed in it. Um, but yeah, that doesn't. That doesn't, it's just not comfortable. So if you're doing a cross-planet trip, I would highly suggest you pay for a business class ticket. This next trip that I'm going to two different countries. I'm paying for a business class ticket because I'm too old at this point to be bothered with trying to spend 2 days going across countries, um, trying to do that. And I can do that as a freelance writer. Nobody else is paying for this ticket. It's going to cost me about $2,000. I'm just going to pay for it because I invest in my own comfort, wellness, and happiness. And so if I can land in my countries feeling a bit more, um, if I can land in my countries feeling a bit more um, well put together, then fine. I'm going to have to go ahead and pay for it. Now, if you can't pay for that, that's okay too. But I'm just saying, taking your money, or using your flight points or whatever it is that you have to be able to get yourself a business class ticket. If you're doing 12 plus hours, that's really great to do. Also, because when you take business class, you're allowed to take more stuff with you. So if you have things that you really love, like you have, some sort of a thing that you collect, you don't want to get rid of it and you just need to be able to have it, you'll have space for an extra piece of luggage, a little more weight on the bags that you do carry, and all that other good stuff. So, next thing, do a two-for-one destination. I've done this a few times. The first time I left the United States to go to Thailand, the flight that I took stopped off in Dubai. Now, um, I figured since I was going to do a layover in Dubai, I was like, well, what if I just sort of hung out in Dubai for a few days and then hop back on the plane to go to Thailand? Would that work? How much more would the plane ride cost? Um, I figured out it doesn't cost really anything. It may have been like a $20 more to be able to do that on your flight. So I did that. And that's a way for you to be able to see two countries for the price of one. I'm doing that during this next trip that I'm going to be taking. I'm actually the one that I have pinpointed for my trip. I'm going to go to Turkey and then I'm going to go to Mexico. So I'm going to do a month in Turkey and then I'll go to Mexico and we'll figure out how long I want to stay there once I get there, if I like it. Two for one price, one trip. And it's a nice way to be able to cut the trip in half. So it's like from Rwanda to Turkey, it'll be like, I think it's like maybe 10 hours. And then I'll have a month break to be able to hang out in Turkey. And then I will fly straight to Mexico, which is going to be like 14, 15 hours, sitting in business class, which is going to be nice. So do a two-for-one destination if you can. If you're taking one of those longer flights where it does a layover, go ahead and take a few days off. Get out of the plane, stretch your legs for a few days, get yourself some rest. Because when you move to new countries, it's going to be a pain. Just expect it to be a pain. The next thing that I would suggest is to go. I'm looking at my notes here. Watch a bunch of videos about the place you want to go to. Make lists of places you'd like to visit, the neighborhood you want to be able to live in. Um, and the reason why you want to do that, particularly for those of you who are in the planning stages of this, like if you're new to the whole freelance writer or just digital nomad life in general, and you haven't really done it yet, and you're still sort of trying to decide if you want to do it, or you've decided that yes, you want to do it, but you don't really know anybody who actually does it, and you just need a little bit more support to be able to get there, like in your head, to be able to decide that that's what you want to do. These are the things that I did to be able to make sure that I held on to the dream that I wanted. You have to be able to see these things first in your head. So, what you want to do is go on YouTube, you watch all the videos about your favorite destinations. You're going to, Find people who are vloggers and they like to go into the cities, the beaches, the temples, the churches, the mosques, the greatest restaurants, all the things that you want to be able. If you're into sports, if you can do that in a particular country, see if you can do all of those things, because watching the videos of other people doing it makes you believe, okay, well, I can do this too. This is doable. When everybody else around you is sitting around trying to tell you, what are you trying to prove out here by trying to leave the rest of us here, and you're just going to go gallivanting around the world trying to go be a freelance writer or a digital nomad, or whatever it is that you do. You have to see other people do it. So make your lists of the neighborhoods that you see yourself living in. DC, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for hanging out on the broadcast with me. Yes, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well also. Um, so yeah, make a list of all the places that you want to go to. That's really important. Connect to the people in the countries or the cities that you want to visit in Facebook. Facebook groups are really nice, and I have found that the travel community in general, and just about any Facebook group that have joined, are usually really good and helpful people who want to see other people have great experiences when they move to a new country. So if like when you go to a new country and you're up for having lunch with another woman traveler, another dude traveler, if you're looking to connect with other people who have families, if you have children, um, you can find a group find a group of people who can help you. So, there's Black traveler groups, there's women focused traveler groups, you know, group travel groups for people who date when they go abroad, all sorts of things. So, whatever it is that you're into, look for a Facebook group. There's a travel Facebook group that you can probably find some sort of a connection group. Like there's always like a jogging group that I might be able to join, or people who like to hike and then they meet up somewhere in town and people can go and they can hike together. And it's nice to be able to have, you don't have to hang out with all these people the whole time that you're there, but it's nice to be able to have a group of people that you can sort of center yourself with when you arrive in a new country. Yeah, I'm still in Rwanda. And I'm actually talking about when I'm leaving, because I'm going to be leaving in September. And so I was talking about how I'm going to be going to Turkey for a month, and then I'm going to go to Mexico. And I don't know, we'll see how I like Mexico and how long I'm going to be there. Because I figure out how long I'm going to be in a country once I move to the new country. I never really know that until I get there. So yeah, when you get to a new country, figure out, or even before you leave, it's nice to be able to connect with other people who are in that country. See if you can find some sort of activity that you want to do. You can meet up at a restaurant for lunch or something. And people have always been really kind to me in that way. It's been very easy. And I'm like super, super duper extra introverted. Um, and it's very easy to meet people who are also introverted. So, and then my last tip for helping you to prepare for your freelance writing life when you go overseas: plan to take at least a week or two off of work when you move to a new country. Why? Because your energy is going to be different. Like, and I always sort of mess this up myself. I have to get better at doing this. But to take at least a week off of work when you move to a new country. Um, because like especially if you go into a different time zone, your energy is just going to be different and you're going to need a minute to be able to sit down and figure out what you're doing. Hopefully you go to the country that you're going to and your hotel or your Airbnb accommodations are going to be comfortable for you, and you'll be able to get some rest. You also have to figure out where you are in town, figure out where to eat, where to pick up groceries if you want to pick up groceries, to be able to go out and meet people. All of that takes time and energy, and you don't want to be sitting around worried about deadlines, at least during that first week when you get to a new country, because that's super important. So, yeah, so those were all of my tips for preparing for how to be able to go take yourself overseas when you're a freelance writer. Oh, listen, D says, true freedom, my dear. I love Turkey and I watch your YouTuber Brown Ladies Trade too. I think Mexico and Turkey will be a great fit for you. Many, many Black American ladies in Mexico. Yeah, there are. And I know some of them that are already there. So I'm looking forward. A lot of like what's really funny about this sort of a life where people travel all the time. It's like sometimes I feel like I meet more people on the internet and through YouTube and other spaces than I actually do in real life. And I'm still trying to figure out whether or not that's good or bad. But it's just that it's easier to be able to meet people who understand what it is that you do than the people that you meet in real life. Not, that those other people in real life aren't worth meeting, but it's nice to be able to connect online with people who get it. Um, so yeah, it's really nice to be able to meet people on the internet in that way. So I wanted to close off by saying this is a quote from one of my favorite writers, Elizabeth Gilbert, from her book Big Magic. She says, "Creative living is any life that you live where your decisions are based more strongly on your curiosity than your fear." I'll say it again. Creative living is any life that you live where your decisions are based more strongly on your curiosity than your fear. And that's really one of the biggest lessons that I've been learning since I've been a traveling freelance writer. I remember one thing that one of my relatives asked me when she found out that I was a freelance writer and I was traveling, and she was asking me if freelance writing, like, it was this my dream job, and I sort of had to stop and think about it for a second. Like, is it my dream? Like, because I did do some work to be able to get to this point where I can, freelance write. But it wasn't so much that I needed to be a freelance writer, is that it was the freedom, like Dee says, it was the freedom that I was looking for, and not necessarily the job title. Like it wasn't that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to do something where I could use the skills that I'm really good at and I enjoy using. Um, but what I really wanted was the time and space to be able to do other things. I can be creative in my work as well as do other creative things outside of work. And every other job that I have had outside of this, it was more of, okay, you can do the job, they'll use the hell out of you. And then when you're exhausted, it's like, folks just sort of throw you out the door, like, we don't need you anymore. And then what are you left with? And so I really like freelance writing because I get to use my energy in a way that works for me. And I get to create the life that I want. And the life that I want is one that includes travel when I want. So I hope that you all are having a great day. I hope that this broadcast was useful for you. If you have any questions, if you have just like a quick question, maybe you can put it in the comments below. Please do like and share with your freelance writer friends or folks that want to be a freelance writer. Yeah, put your questions below and I'll see if I can make a video on the topic in the future. And what else? If you want a one-on-one session, you can click on the link in the description and we can talk about freelance writing and travel lifestyle, anything that you want, for a whole hour. And I will see you on Friday. Peace. Have a great day.